Hi. So we're back to part 2 of my date with Donald Trump when I was 16. We were at the opera. All the hubbub was over with. The opera was very nice. I was glad to have stayed. I'm not sure that those box seats are any better than, the orchestra. But it's nice because, anyway, it was nice. Still hadn't talked to the Donald since then. I kept my yap shut. Hey, vey. And the deal was we would go to the opera and he would take me home. And I lived in New Jersey. So the deal got bigger and bigger and bigger as I had to do more and more things for him. Like I had to go to the beauty parlor because he wanted to make sure I was pretty. It probably sounds narcissistic, but take a look. That movie, All That Jazz, is a terrific movie and definitely worth the time and the $2 or $5 or whatever it costs to rent it. I'm the blonde who shows up in the middle when they finally get to the song Erotica. I'm her. So to be clear, that's what I looked like, because that was just a year before I met the Donald. So that was the body and that was the face. My hair wasn't blonde. I dyed it blonde for the movie because almost everybody else in the movie was a brunette. And you can't have too many brunettes because people get confused when they watch the movie. I know I do. So anyway, I dyed my hair blonde for the part. If you've seen Dirty Dancing, the blonde dancer in that, the co-star, that was me as well. And that's what I look like. For the brown hair, I'm trying to think what else I was in. Well, I was in a bunch of stuff when I was that age, so, you could pick almost any one of them and you see what I look like. So the deal was for us to go to the opera, and I didn't know about the box seat or anything, and for him to take me home, back to New Jersey. He wanted to take me back to New Jersey. He wanted to see where I lived. I lived pretty well. My father was in advertising, and every time they have to come up with a campaign, he'd come to me and ask me for advice, and I'd give him the advertising campaign, and then he would pitch it, and then he would get a promotion. And he spent half his money on us as his family and half his money on his girlfriend. But we still managed to live pretty well because I came up with campaign after ad campaign. A lot of the ads, if you're my age, a lot of the ads that you saw when you were a kid are mine. And so we lived pretty darn well. And I had been to the opera a few times before that. So, okay, getting caught up. Then that was the deal. And I told him up front that I don't have sex on the first date. And in fact, I don't do anything. I said, you can kiss me goodnight, but that's it. Do you still want to date me? Do you still, over and over, I'm not going to have sex with you. And he kept saying, well, it's going to cost me a fortune. And I kept saying, well, then don't take me. I don't really care. I've been to the opera. I don't really care. You don't know me. And the way he would say, it's going to cost me a fortune, I thought he probably wanted more. And I hadn't seen him. Now he's at 74 now. I think. Yeah. So he's 10 years older than me. So he was 26. 26. So we get out, and he says, well, I just went to my apartment's real near here. I just want you to see my apartment. Oh, no, buddy. I'm not going to your apartment. Oh, no. And he said, oh, just for 5 minutes. Just, you don't even have to sit down. I won't even ask you to sit down. So I already knew that he was attached, you know. And I thought, well, he said, oh, it's just a couple of houses down, a couple of buildings down from here. Well, we start walking and walking and walking, and my feet, these were new shoes. I think he bought the shoes, I don't know. I don't wear heels, and I never have worn heels. And I was saying it really is hurting me to walk. I don't want to, please just take me home. I don't want to walk. Oh no, it's just 2 more down. It's just 2 more down. And it was just 2 more down for a quarter of a mile. I mean, after a few blocks, I took my shoes off, and I said, you know, I got to take my shoes off. I've got blisters, and they're going to start to bleed if I don't. So, and he was like, oh, you always wear heels. Pretty women always wear heels. They wear heels to everything, all the time. My mother told me that. You probably have never worn sneakers or flat shoes. And I kept saying, I don't wear heels. And he had none of it. He had none of it. And it just was like, just as a way to get him to stop and take me home, I went to go see his apartment, and we go and we get in. He had a penthouse, and I said, wow, this is really nice. You know, the elevator opens right into your apartment, and isn't that nice? It's very pretty. You have a nice view. Now let's go. And he said something. I said, you know, just call me a cab. I'll just call myself a cab. I'll get a cab. You know, because I said normally I would just go to the Port Authority and take a bus home. Oh, no, you can't. It's dangerous. Don't you know about... Now, I had been taking a bus to New York City and used the subway system from the time I was about 7 alone, you know, so I didn't feel that it was scary. And he had never even been in the subways, and he said how scary it was, and how horrible it was, and there's no way a girl like me should be taking the subways and this and that. And I'm like, you've never been there, have you? You know? And then he said, well, just have one drink. Just one drink. Your feet hurt. Put your feet up. Have one drink. Just one drink. Well, the one drink was heavily laced with roofies, or some drug that you couldn't, the one that you can't move. Now, I have had that drug so many times that when I get drugged and get abducted, I get given that drug, and the only thing you can really move is your eyes, your head a little bit, depending on the dosage, I suppose. And so he carries me into the bedroom and rapes me. And I'm, well, I guess I could talk too, because I kept saying, I can't move, I can't move, I can't move. And then he's like, well, you think that I would spend all that money on you and not expect, you know, you to have sex with me? And I don't know whether I was able to say it out loud, but this is not sex. You drugged me. This is not sex. I can't move. And then he said, women don't move during sex. My mother told me that. No woman, no good woman will move during sex. Women are supposed to lie there and take it. during sex. That's what sex is. A woman lying there and taking it. So I don't see how this is any different. This is not rape, because this is the way sex is supposed to be. Now, I had never heard that before. My mother never told me anything about sex. I have heard that since then. I have heard that from people. There's a sect. Well, of course, the Satanists believe it, that women aren't allowed to enjoy sex, and they're not allowed to move during sex, and certain Catholic parts of the Catholic religion, like just different sects of different religions. Of course, the Mormons, There's a lot of weird ideas about sex out there, and we'll get into that on another time. But this is what he said, and then he said, well, just go, he got finished, and he said, well, just go to sleep. You're in no condition to go home. You probably wouldn't even be able to tell me. I wouldn't be able to do anything. So then, you're a lush, and you wanted that. You wouldn't have gone out with me if you didn't want it. And all the things that rapists say. All those disgusting things. So, I went to sleep, because that's pretty much what you do when you're drugged. And then in the morning I could hear him moving around, and he said, I still couldn't really move well. And he said, you just stay there, stay asleep, keep sleeping. I have to go to work. Now, before that, he had never even talked about going to work. So, I didn't know, that he had an office or anything. I don't think he did, really. And he said, so you just stay there. I left some money on the dresser for you, so you can take it, so you can get home. And I thought, well, and he also had said, since I was staying over, that he would take me out to a nice breakfast, which, of course, that was a lie. So pretty much everything he said was a lie. And everything he said about me was a lie. Like, he just lied incessantly about me. And he had no idea who I was. None. And he didn't that morning either, because he hadn't talked to me at all. And so then, when I woke up, I got up and I looked at the bureau, and there was a pile of cash. A huge pile. So I went and I took a shower and got all his disgustingness off of me. And I got dressed. I left the dress because I didn't want it. And I figured he wouldn't be able to use it, but I didn't want it. I didn't want a reminder of that disgusting man. And I went downstairs. I took $60, and I believe there were $3,000 on the bureau. And I thought, well, that's not all that much, because he had tipped each one of those beauty parlor ladies $1,000 apiece. So that was like there were 4 of them, so $4,000 to them. And I thought, well, maybe he doesn't realize the value of money. I didn't know. So I took $60, because I figured cab fare to New Jersey, because he didn't want me to take the subway, which I was going to do. And breakfast, because he had said he would buy me breakfast. So I took $60, and I went downstairs. I don't know what I found to wear. I think I took some clothes. I must have taken some of his clothes. But I don't know. Yeah, because I know I didn't take the dress. And I got in, and a chauffeur was outside the building, standing and leaning against the car. And he perked up, and he saw me, and he said, "Are you Mr. Trump's guest?" And I said, "I guess that's what you call it." And he said, "I'm supposed to take you home." He said, I was supposed to take you home after the opera, but then Mr. Trump said he wanted to walk. Now, so he had me walk a quarter of a mile in heels to get to his house, while the chauffeur tells me this, while the chauffeur followed, a half a block behind. So at any point, when I kept complaining about my feet, at any point he could have said, well, my car is right here, we can take my car. But he never offered to help that way, because all women wear heels all the time, and his mother told him that. And I was just lying about my feet hurting, and I think at some point they bled because I was walking, and I was, of course, then walking in stockings on New York City pavement, and he let me do that. So I got in the car, and I told the guy what happened, and he said he would have to quit now. He was afraid that that was what was happening. He wasn't sure, because Donald would always brag about his conquests, and it didn't look to him that the women were all that eager, so he was kind of wondering how the Donald was making out like that. That the Donald thing, that was another time I met him. I gave him that moniker. He wanted, I don't know, he wanted, his mother liked the name Donald, so he wanted to kind of highlight it to make his mother happy, so the Donald, that's all I could think of, I don't know. So this was years, probably 20 years later. So and then I realized, or he might have said something about he might have stopped to write it down, directions to my house, and I realized he was going to bring that man back to my house, and I wasn't having that. So I said, here, make a right up here. And it was not even in the same town, but I knew how to get on the bus from that area. There was a bus from that area to my, 3 blocks away from my house. So, and I thanked him, and I said, you don't have to quit on my account. And he said, no, it's been a real pleasure, a real eye-opener talking to you. I said, well, yeah, the Donald doesn't want to talk to me, so it's good somebody did. So I waved, and no, you don't have to wait. And he said Donald would be furious if I didn't wait to watch you go in the house. Make sure you got home safe. So I walked up to this random house, and I opened the door, and luckily the door was unlocked. Now this is where my angels come in, this kind of thing, where I knew what house to pick, try that one, try that one, try that one. But there's always these little angels saying, okay, that one will be all right. So I waved, opened the door, and went in. And then I just started talking. I said, I'm sorry to, don't be afraid. I'm not going to hurt you. I'm trying to get away from this guy, and this woman is like, was I expecting you? And I said, no, you don't know me. I don't know you. And I showed her out the window. I said, that guy, I don't want him to know where I lived, so I just picked your house out, and I'm scared, and let me stay here for a few minutes, and then I'm going to go and take the bus home. And so she talked to me a little bit, and I told her, and she said, well, honey, that's rape. What he did to you was wrong, and he shouldn't have drugged you. How old are you? So I told her, and she hadn't heard of him either. Neither one of us had heard of him. I don't know why he thought he was so damn famous. He just wanted to be famous. His mother told him that if he did things like if he took limos everywhere and had bodyguards with him, people would think that he was famous. They would just assume it. I, I've never seen or heard of anybody doing it the way Donald Trump does. He travels everywhere with 5 limousines. Everywhere. Everywhere. It's insane. He's insane. He really is. And so then I waited. I waited. I waited until I saw the limo go down around the. She showed me, where I could watch through the window, and we waited, and the limo was gone. I said, well, let me wait a few more minutes in case he decides to come back. She said, oh, sure, honey, you want a cup of tea or something. And so I just waited a little bit longer because I was really scared. And then I went down and I said, those buses come every 10 minutes, and if I just missed one. She said, I just saw one go by, and it was just as you got here. So, wait 10 minutes. So I did, and then I went down and I took the bus home. Sure enough, and I think this made it on the news. I don't know how I heard of it. Somebody knew who I was. Somebody had seen me go in the house, and they knew who I was. A lot of people. I had 2 very pretty sisters, so a lot of people knew who we were. Just even though we didn't know them, they knew us by sight. And so, sure enough, Donald showed up at that house and was furious and didn't believe the woman that she didn't know me, and I just picked her randomly. So he was really furious. He told me later that he killed his chauffeur for not finding out where I lived. That was his job, was to find out where I lived. So he didn't. So he killed him. Because his mother told him that anytime somebody doesn't do what you want, you have to kill them. So that's too bad. That's a really horrible rule. She taught him the reasons he has for killing people is so minuscule and obscure that you wouldn't know that you were breaking one of his rules. You really wouldn't, because the rules are just kind of random. His mother was nuts, and she made up all these random rules, and she made him do what she wanted. So that is the story of the Donald and how he raped me, and how completely insane he is. And I don't know how he got. I think when he saw me again, he told me he got Ivanka to marry him because she did everything like his mother wanted. Like, she'd order the most expensive thing. She loved to wear high heels and gowns and things. And I've met Ivana, and she's a nice woman. So that's it. That's your president raping me and then killing his chauffeur for believing me that